Hello again. So, on this episode, I'm going to tell you about my oldest brother, Bill Heston. And he came in to play keyboards on a number of tunes. And so, I'm just going to read that list to you real quick. So, first thing he played on was the Christmas Guitar Piece album. And he played main keyboards on the song We Three Kings, Joy to the World, O Little Town of Bethlehem. And then on the fourth song that he played on that album, he played what we would call keys 2, or the second keyboard. That one actually had a string synth or orchestra type sound, and I played that keyboard, and then Bill came in and played the vocal sounding, choir sounding keyboard pad on that song. So there were two keyboards. I played one, he played the second. Then he came in and played on A Light in the Storm, and on that album he played two songs. The one song he did was the main keyboards on the song I Exalt Thee, which is a cover tune that I did. And then he was also part of that song, the big jam session that I did with friends and family, Let God Arise. And on that song there were 4 keyboard sounds, so I play 3 of those. And then Bill came in and played the organ keyboard sound. So those are the songs that he's participated on, and he's going to be coming in to be singing some background vocals on that big song that I'm doing on my new album, on that song Forever Hallelujah. So no keys from Bill on this new album, just a vocal part. So that's his role in the 3 albums that I put together. So now I want to take you to his interview and just let you hear a little bit from him. Oh, I also want to mention on a quick side note, as I was looking at the footage for Bill, he's got an interview that is 30 minutes long. And as you've seen in the last couple of episodes, I kind of integrate the interview into the buildup of a song and tell that side of the story. But Clark was interviewing Bill, and he kind of went off script a little bit, and they got into some really interesting conversations. So I figured, rather than just leaving that out of this series, Bill has some good things to say about more of the backstory of kind of where I come from, where he comes from, where we come from in our family, and he has some good things to say. So this episode is going to be just a straight up interview from beginning to end. It's not going to have a whole lot of fancy editing, but if you're interested in the story and of all the aspects of the journey making music, watch this interview, and then when we get to the next episode, we'll do more of a traditional style episode of watching Bill and I work together and building up a tune. So let's get to Bill.
But why don't you start by introducing yourself, saying your name and what you do and where you're from and what your favorite color is and who you're going to vote for in the next election. No, just whatever.
I was going to say I can't predict that far into the future. All right. Hello, my name is Bill Heston, and I am Jeremie's oldest brother, and I live up in Vancouver, Washington. Also play music on the side for a living, and I don't think that was very good. I'm drawing a blank.
That's okay. So how many brothers does he have?
Well, I'm the oldest, and there's 6 of us, 4 brothers and 2 sisters, in that order.
Ah. So is he Is he the youngest, or is he the middle?
He's right in the middle. He's the third one.
Right in the middle, okay. What are you doing musically?
Right now, I play music at church voluntarily a couple times a month, and also I work in a professional cover band. We go around town, various parts within a 100-mile radius, doing a lot of classic rock, 70s and 80s, that kind of thing. That's pretty much what I'm doing currently.
Is that the music you love? Apart from the spiritual music?
Yeah, actually, I enjoy some of that music. I grew up listening to it, so it kind of has a special place in my heart. So,
You like to rock out a little, eh?
oh yeah, nothing too heavy though.
All right. So how about a little about your musical background? Where do you come from? How'd you get... You play primarily keyboards or just keyboards? You play in it?
Just keyboards, and I also sing. And I am from a musical family on my mom's side. Generations of singing and playing instruments, and yeah, piano, guitar, drums, a little bit of everything.
Really?
It's funny because we all play different instruments, so it kind of works out nicely. But we decided not to form the family band because we're not the Partridge Family. So,
So, have you ever played together as a family?
Yeah, for family functions, we've done that a few times. It's been kind of fun.
So, formal training, you got any?
Actually, yes. I had a couple of years of voice lessons back in high school, and back in the 90s, I went to Mount Hood Community College for 2 years and studied music. Was actually going to be a teacher, and then I changed direction, but I kept the knowledge, made me a better player.
Mount Hood's a great school. They're
Awesome.
really known for their music program.
Yeah, there's like Jazz Central.
No kidding. So did you do some jazz?
A little bit, yeah. Actually, kind of what they offer is like a combination of that influence as well as classical combined. So it's a really good program as far as learning what you need to know about music theory and stuff. So,
Yeah.
So how long have you been playing?
I've been playing and singing for well over 25 years. And actually, it's amazing because I'm coming from a place where there wasn't the funds for lessons or formal training in the beginning. So, I'm more self-taught, and then I went through the training and lessons later, so I kind of got a wider spectrum on what I'm doing.
What got you hooked? What got you started on it? I know for me it was the Beatles, but...
Yeah, several different artists, I would say, and just in general, my love for music. I've been listening to music since I can remember. My early years, I can remember sitting at the stereo with Mom and listening to records all day long. So it was pretty well ingrained in me from the beginning.
It sounds like a pretty musical environment. Your brothers and sisters are musicians to one extent or another, and your parents as well?
Yes, actually. Mom plays piano and guitar and sings, and then Dad plays a little on the accordion and does some singing as well.
I love the accordion. Do you play accordion at all?
No, I don't actually. I don't even have any clue how to operate one of those.
You should learn. I
Yeah.
love the accordion. So you do original music. What's your music like?
Well, I wrote a piece a couple years ago that's kind of similar to the type of stuff that Jeremie does. And it doesn't currently have any lyrics to it, but we're still working on it. But it's just a nice melodic, softer piece, but it's got a lot of depth to it.
So this is interesting. So how would you categorize that music? Especially now that you say that it's like what Jeremie does, because I'm not sure how you categorize Jeremie's music.
Well, I'd say it's emotionally driven. Definitely. I was on a business trip when I wrote that. I was actually in my hotel room one night and just started messing around with some chords, and then just kind of came out with what it ended up being. But, again, there's no title or lyric yet, so I'm still working on it. But,
So you carry a piano with you when you travel? Is that how that works?
yeah, actually, I have my digital keyboard, so it's about as portable as it gets. Of course, being a piano player, I have to have my 88 keys, so, If you're willing to carry about 60 pounds of weight around with you, it works.
So how was the process of creating this music?
I would say it was challenging, but in a good way.
And actually, but back up a little, and where you might explain a little bit where you're involved in the album, what you brought, how you guys work together, and how that process all works.
Well, basically, I provided some background key sounds, sort of the keys to position, if you will. And so it involved a lot more creativity, in as far as phrasing and knowing what to put where and just, how much or how little. So, it wasn't just something that you just lay out. I mean, you got to really think about, it's like painting. I had the canvas kind of in front of me with some ideas going, and then I just kind of added my 2 cents to it.
You might explain a little bit more about keys too, what you...
Well, usually that's in reference to having more than one keyboard in a situation. I mean, you have your lead instrument, obviously, and I was more the background filler type instrument.
So you're really in a process of supporting what's going on, and from my point of view, that's some people don't realize that that's not always as easy as it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Accompanying I think, is a special skill of its own. It's different. Would you see accompanying as being different from being perhaps like the main keyboard?
Absolutely. I mean, it requires alertness and listening and really being aware of your surroundings, to be able to know exactly how to fill that space without overfilling it.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a certain special kind of sensitivity. Personally, I love accompanying because to me, it's almost more communicative in a way. You're almost more part of the other person's experience.
Yeah, and you're kind of trying to help reinforce the message that's being delivered there.
Right. Were you involved in the Christmas CD?
I was.
So you're on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I actually haven't heard it, so I can't be too intelligent about it. I'm interested. How do those two relate for you? Those two CDs. Is this an extension of that, or is this a new direction, or?
I'd say it's a little of both. I mean, stylistically, they're very similar, but there's some definitely some new ideas in the second album. I think that weren't as prominent in the first album.
So you think some of that came from work on the first album? Do you think he's expanding on?
Yeah, I think so. There's probably some inspirational ideas that came out of that.
Yeah. And have you shared this music with others at this point?
Nope, I'm keeping it on the download till it gets released. It's top secret information.
What about the Christmas CD?
Oh, the Christmas CD, of course. I've actually donated several copies to friends of mine, just to get them acquainted with what Jeremie's been doing.
And are they still friends of yours?
Yes, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I don't think I've heard any complaints about the music, so.
I hope not. I mean, I'm teasing now, obviously.
Well, and if they do, then they're missing something, I would say.
So have you seen Jeremie work a tune up from scratch?
Yeah, actually, he's shown me, different points along the way, stuff that he was working on and ideas that he had. And every once in a while, I'd have an opportunity to jump in and collaborate with him and help him get it to the next level. And so it's...
Is that something you enjoy that?
I do. I like to arrange music and, as well as performing. And a little bit of composition. I don't really compose all that much, but when the inspiration hits, I'm definitely happy to do something with that.
Yeah. Have you ever been there at a moment of inspiration?
With Jeremie?
I mean, obviously you have for yourself.
Yeah.
But that's a good question. When do those moments happen? Is that
Well, there were a couple of points along the way with the Christmas project, that he'd present something to me, and it's like, oh, I got something to throw in there, or I got maybe another way that you could play the chords to bring it out even more, the way you want to. So,
and is he receptive? Is he easy to work with?
yeah, as a matter of fact, we kind of feed off of each other, because I've got a little more background and experience and training, but at the same time, he's got his own abilities and just naturally, and putting those together really works well.
Yeah. Has he had formal training at all, Jeremie?
I don't believe so. He's all natural.
So, all by accident. Let's see, looking back, what's the most unusual or different thing you noticed or experienced working with Jeremie on this project in particular?
It's nice to see going from how things were with the first project to where we're going with the second project, and it's like going to the next level, in terms of the music and the arrangements and the overall feel, and it's just kind of fun to watch all that progress happen, and again, be a part of it. So,
was the process? Do you think was it very different this time around?
Yeah, I would say so.
And how so?
Well, aside from the obvious that it's not Christmas music.
Well, just in terms, the process of making a recording is kind of similar no matter what the music is. There's some certain differences. If it's synthesizers, you plug them in. If it's a guitar player, you mic them up. But
Well, one thing I noticed right off the bat, we both have gotten better gear to work with, and that really helps. Makes a big difference. But better instrumentation. He's definitely grown a lot as far as being able to arrange and put songs together. He's doing that all by ear, like I did when I started, and it's definitely a gift.
Yeah. It does seem like some of the arrangements have gotten relatively complex. Do you think he's got more deeper this time out? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say so. Because again, it's more along the ministry lines, because it's a project that's designed to reach people, and help them in some way.
How would you describe Jeremie? What kind of person is he?
Well, I would say he's, right off the top, I'd say passionate, a very caring person, mellow, but he also likes to have a good time and laugh a lot, which is something I enjoy as well. It's kind of become a coping mechanism for me, as the stuff of life hits you, find a way to make it funny. It's sort of a survival thing, but no, he's a really great, caring, loving individual. Not really a whole lot of. I don't have anything negative to say that I can think of.
Oh, come on. That's where we walked it.
Well, growing up in a house full of siblings, there were moments, but that's just all part of the experience.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But I get the impression that maybe there have been some stumbles along the way in maybe I don't know. There's some obstacles just as a family and.
Yeah, we were not all that. We're not very affluent, I would say. We're very challenged financially, so there were a lot of obstacles in that sense, and just figuring out ways to be creative and survive and try to turn it into something good.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think sometimes where the music comes is because music itself.
Absolutely, it's a big help.
And it's free. The piano lessons are expensive, but actually playing.
Yeah, well, and whether you take lessons or not, you don't really develop any skills unless you're committed to it. Because it's a daily process of developing, your skills and training your ears and just a bunch of different things that go into it. but it's definitely been a lifesaver for me.
Yeah. Is piano your primary instrument?
Primary instrument. I'm thinking about taking up guitar as a secondary, but I haven't got there yet.
He can probably give you some.
As soon as I find a nice guitar, then we'll start messing around with that.
Cool. What's your assessment? How do you understand the process for Jeremie of creating this listening experience? Do you have any understanding of how he brings the emotion that's there into this music?
I would say I do, because him and I have played together several times at church together, on the worship team. And, a lot of this music is inspired from that experience. And so, obviously, when you're in that situation, you're trying to set the mood for the service and get everybody to participate in some way. And so I think that carries over, into what he's doing.
Yeah, so some of the experience of actually playing in a service where you've got kind of a immediate response from people, or not, if you're not doing your job right. That's probably important.
Oh, absolutely.
To knowing what you can and can't do in terms of...
Yeah, I think there's a definite formula, to bringing about certain things, aspects in a song. So it's important to be aware of those things. I mean, not that you can't still do it your own thing, but, again, there's a set formula, or template, rather, to getting from point A to point B.
Sure. Sorry, this is a 5-part question, and you will be tested. We're talking about how Jeremie, but I think this is probably for anybody. How do you impart the emotion? How do you involve the listener? How do you draw them into the music as an emotional experience? What do you think? Guitar, is it the instruments? Is it the feeling that he brings when he plays the instruments? Is it how the music is arranged and all of the different instruments? Is it the material itself? I mean, maybe this music already has kind of a built-in resonance for people. Or is it something else? None of the above.
Well, I was just thinking the opposite, actually. I was going to say all of the above, because it takes all those different aspects and elements to create, that type of environment, to generate the response. I like music that goes so deep that it actually grabs your heart and moves you in some way. Obviously that involves emotion. In any kind of passionate music, it stirs the emotions, and that really gets me going. I like that.
But on the album, what do you think? Is there a particularly good example of a song or two where you think really hit the mark for you? Like, yes, that's what that song was meant to sound like?
Yeah, there were a couple different ones. Let God Arise, was one for sure. I haven't heard all of the tracks yet, but the ones that I have heard, they seem right on. They're right on the mark. So
you think he's able to get to the kind of the heart of the matter and
absolutely
make that a part of the song?
Yeah, and it's. I think one of the other artists involved here said too that with instrumental music, it's not. It's a different way of conveying that message, and you have to figure out what it is that's going to take you there, and be effective.
Well, it is, because you can't really tell people where you're going, right?
Right.
So, any clue as to how that works? That seems to me really mysterious.
Well, the songs that he's chosen in this, there's definitely a lot of familiarity to them, so people know the melody lines, and before you know it, they start humming along to it, or even singing the words, and so I think that's a really key factor in accomplishing that mission.
But I also suspect that if somebody heard the music who didn't know the words, do you think they'd be still affected in the way that's intended here?
I think so. There's definitely a blessing on this music, and most of these songs are, from what I understand, pretty well world renowned, and so they're known by several people, and if somebody doesn't know it, I mean, chances are they're going to run into someone who does, and then they'll have a conversation about it.
Yeah. I just like to think that that's the part I'm sort of interested in myself, and it does seem like a mystery that how much emotional effect a melody can have, or a well-written song, a well-written piece of music without having words, and how people can find so much meaning in that, even though it's not specifically necessarily telling them what they should be feeling. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I wonder if you think at all about where that comes from, how that works.
Well, I mean, the way music was designed, it just naturally affects a person, whether it's in a positive or a negative or whatever, depending on what it is. There's kind of a natural order to it.
Yeah. Do you feel that music has a specific purpose in general, and if so, how do you find that? What do you think it is?
I do, and as I mentioned earlier, in my own life experience, there's definitely a lot of healing properties to music. No matter who you are, where you are, what's going on. Music influences everything, and I think this life would be pretty dull without it. It's definitely nice to have something to fall back onto where you can just relax and just, let someone else drive for a while.
Sounds like music gives you a lot of, just a lot. In terms of maybe comfort, support. Solace.
Absolutely. It's part of everything I do, and as I guess am being. I don't know how to say that, but it's part of my being, I would say. It's definitely got a big part in every aspect of my life. So
it's beautiful.
So now that you've had a chance to hear from Bill, the next episode, you're going to hear just a little bit more from him, and you're also going to hear some of my own personal interview as we talk about a number of different things, and you'll get to see both Bill and I work up a tune, which will be the tune I Exalt Thee. So look forward to seeing you in the next episode, and have a good day. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that episode. Real quick, just want to give you some information. If you are looking for these albums, you can find my music on iTunes or Amazon MP3. There's other websites that are available on, but those are the most prominent. You just go into their search engines, you type in Jeremie Heston. My first name is spelled Jeremie, and my last name is spelled Heston. So type those in the search engines and the album should come up, and you can download them. They're not very expensive. Also, if you haven't been able to follow every episode of the video series, both season 1 and season 2 are going to be available on YouTube. And you just simply type in Jeremie Heston, My Journey Making Music. And then of course, whatever episode number you're looking for. So for example, Jeremie Heston, My Journey Making Music, episode 1. Type that in and you'll be able to find all of the episodes. Season 1 has 22 episodes, and season 2 I think is going to have 10 or 12 episodes. I'm not sure at this point, but I'll put a little video at the end of those episodes when I get to that. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Thank you for your support, and God bless you.